The royal world had always been a stage of elegance, tradition, and meticulously curated appearances. For decades, stories of princes and princesses, their births, marriages, and public duties filled the airwaves and tabloids alike, framed in a narrative of duty, duty, and more duty. But on the morning of December 15, 2025, the story of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, until then seemingly airtight, fractured in a way no one could have anticipated. Across the globe, audiences were about to witness a revelation that would send shockwaves through Buckingham Palace, the Commonwealth, and the media ecosystem that had long elevated the Sussexes to modern royalty status. A fairy tale romance, 2 celebrated pregnancies, and the births of children positioned as symbols of a new, more glamorous monarchy, all meticulously documented, all carefully polished, were suddenly thrown into a fog of uncertainty. The whispers that had circulated online for years, dismissed as idle speculation, conspiracy, or clickbait, were no longer just background noise. They had acquired teeth. At precisely 10:00 a.m. GMT, the British royal household broke its silence in a manner that shocked many. It was not King Charles who stepped forward, nor Prince William. Instead, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, known for her quiet support of charities and rarely seen in political matters, took center stage. Dressed in an understated slate blue coat dress, she faced a press room packed with international journalists, her composure unshakable. What followed would be remembered as one of the defining addresses of modern monarchy. A statement not of accusation, but of clarification. A line drawn in the sand. A message to the world that the House of Windsor would no longer entertain unverified narratives surrounding the identity of Harry and Meghan's children. Her opening sentence was razor-sharp. "This matter does not involve the crown." 7 words, precise and cold, slicing through weeks of escalating speculation and refocusing global attention on the woman identified only as DL, a surrogate who claimed to have carried both of Meghan Markle's children, Archie and Lilith. According to DL, these pregnancies were the product of a private surrogacy agreement, hidden from public scrutiny, complete with contracts, private hospital records, and a handwritten letter allegedly from Prince Harry expressing gratitude for safely carrying our family into the world. Before we dive deeper into the unfolding constitutional storm, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss a single detail of this unprecedented royal revelation. This video is more than gossip. It's a historical moment in the monarchy, and will break down every twist, every document, and every strategic move the palace has made behind closed doors. DL's claims had been quietly circulating for months, largely ignored by mainstream media, dismissed as the musings of internet sleuths and conspiracy theorists. But her legal filing, submitted to a Swiss court for privacy protection, changed everything. In it, DL stated her willingness to undergo DNA testing under court supervision, asserting that the truth was never mine to keep. It was taken from me. I am simply placing it back on the table. In those words lay the potential to redefine the royal lineage, the very foundation of inheritance, ceremonial roles, and legacy within the House of Windsor. Behind the palace walls, the response was immediate and intense. Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, and Highgrove House reportedly went into coordinated lockdown. King Charles had been briefed weeks prior, and the legal and constitutional teams were mobilized to assess the gravity of the claims. Insiders reveal that it was not the mere allegation that caused alarm, but the timing, the depth of documentation, and the looming constitutional implications should DL's claims hold any merit. The palace selected Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, to serve as the public face of the monarchy's measured response, a role demanding composure, authority, and the ability to deflect controversy without inflaming it further. While William and Catherine were engaged with public Christmas preparations, Sophie took the global stage. Her address referenced King Charles's internal memorandum on succession and inheritance, explicitly excluding Meghan, Harry, and their children from the line of succession, a move that codified their symbolic distance and created a legal firewall around the crown's estates, ceremonial duties, and entitlements. Sophie also addressed Meghan's recent viral video, footage showing her dancing in a hospital gown with an exaggerated baby bump, widely interpreted as a maternal statement. Sophie's response, calm but cutting, emphasized the contrast between theatrical performance and the endurance of real maternal experience, drawing from her own high-risk pregnancies. "There is nothing elegant about carrying life at that stage, only reverence, caution, and grace under weight," she said, making it clear that royal motherhood is not a performance for public optics, but a responsibility grounded in truth. When international journalists asked whether the palace would investigate DL's claims, Sophie's answer was unambiguous. "That is for the courts, not the crown." With this, the monarchy strategically distanced itself from the storm, pushing the matter into a legal, verifiable arena while preserving the dignity and integrity of the institution. Within 48 hours, the internal palace machinery swung into action. King Charles convened a high-level emergency session with Princess Anne, Prince William, and legal advisors. The issue was no longer speculative. It was a matter of lineage and national continuity, with Christmas celebrations, ceremonial protocols, and public perception all hanging in the balance. The Red Memorandum, a sealed directive reaffirming inheritance and succession requirements, was drafted to ensure all future claims regarding Harry and Meghan's children would be subject to strict verification. The implications were immediate. Archewell's references to Archie and Lilith vanished from public-facing materials, leaving the Sussexes scrambling for damage control. And while the world consumed every detail of Sophie's measured speech and the viral fallout of Meghan's video, inside Windsor Castle, decisions with profound consequences were being made. Decisions that could redefine the royal bloodline and reshape the monarchy for generations to come. The immediate aftermath of Sophie's public address rippled through international media like a shockwave. News outlets scrambled to verify DL's claims, while social media became a battleground of opinion, speculation, and viral snippets of Sophie's poised yet unmistakably assertive statements. Analysts predicted that this revelation could dominate headlines for months, potentially eclipsing all other royal narratives of 2026. Yet behind the camera flashes and the relentless tweets, the palace was entering a stage of internal crisis management that was as unprecedented as the allegations themselves. Inside Windsor Castle, the inner circle of advisors convened in the White Drawing Room, a space rarely used for crisis deliberations, but chosen for its discreet security and historical gravitas. King Charles presided over the meeting, flanked by Princess Anne, the legal counsel, and senior aides responsible for communications strategy. The room was thick with tension. Every dossier, every confidential memorandum, and every snippet of surveillance footage related to Meghan and Harry's activities over the past 5 years was meticulously reviewed. Legal advisors outlined potential strategies to safeguard the monarchy's legitimacy, detailing the complex intersection of British succession laws, international surrogacy regulations, and potential litigation in multiple jurisdictions. One critical point of discussion was the timing of DL's legal filing. Sources inside the palace described it as surgical, calculated, and designed for maximum impact, arriving just weeks before the annual Christmas celebrations. The royal calendar, carefully orchestrated over decades, was suddenly disrupted. Public appearances, televised interviews, and charity events were reevaluated to avoid scenarios where questions about the Sussex children might surface. Internal communications emphasized caution. Any statement misstep could result in unprecedented legal exposure and public backlash. Meanwhile, the palace communications team prepared a multi-layered media strategy. While Sophie had delivered the initial response with unflinching composure, the palace recognized that social media discourse could spiral beyond traditional media control. A coordinated effort was launched to redirect narratives, highlighting charitable initiatives, public engagements, and historical continuity, while subtly framing DL's claims as a matter for judicial verification rather than royal endorsement. This move was designed to preserve public confidence in the monarchy, while simultaneously establishing a legal and moral boundary around unverified allegations. International legal advisors also weighed in, emphasizing that DL's willingness to undergo DNA testing could trigger complex jurisdictional conflicts. The proposed tests were to be conducted in Switzerland, but questions arose regarding the enforceability of results in the United Kingdom, the United States, and other jurisdictions where the Sussexes held personal and financial interests. Every potential outcome, from full confirmation to partial discrepancies, was analyzed meticulously. The palace recognized that even the hint of validation could reshape public perception of the monarchy and challenge decades of narrative carefully curated by both the institution and the media. Back in Montecito, California, the Sussexes were reportedly blindsided. Meghan's team released a short statement emphasizing privacy, while Harry's representatives declined to comment. Insiders suggest that the couple viewed DL's public filing as both a personal betrayal and a media ambush, noting that their legal team had been previously unaware of her decision to approach the courts. Confidential sources describe tension and urgent discussions about the potential consequences for their public image, philanthropic initiatives, and ongoing media projects. The Sussexes, it appeared, were facing a storm not only of legal and factual scrutiny, but also of perception and reputation management. Social media activity escalated within hours of the filing. Hashtags referencing DL, surrogacy, and royal lineage trended globally, while thousands of posts dissected every word of Sophie's speech. Memes, opinion threads, and deep-dive investigative posts flooded platforms, each iteration adding layers of speculation. Analysts warned that the viral nature of the conversation could shape public opinion before courts had the chance to examine the evidence in detail. Within Buckingham Palace, strategists monitored digital sentiment in real time, preparing for rapid response and narrative containment if misinformation gained traction. Adding another layer of complexity, anonymous palace insiders reported that a private memo, labeled Red File, Sussex Lineage, had circulated among senior officials. The memo reportedly included correspondence between Harry, Meghan, and various intermediaries regarding surrogacy arrangements, private medical consultations, and financial agreements. While the contents were heavily redacted, the fact of its existence alone intensified speculation and provided fodder for international legal experts assessing potential breaches of privacy, defamation, and contractual obligations. By evening, the palace began drafting a statement to reaffirm succession integrity and reinforce the monarchy's impartial stance regarding personal allegations. Language was meticulously reviewed to ensure legal compliance while maintaining public diplomacy. Phrases emphasizing historical precedent, ceremonial continuity, and the monarchy's neutrality in personal disputes were strategically included. The statement was intended to address both domestic and international audiences, striking a delicate balance between reassurance and restraint. As night fell over London, the castle lights burned late into the evening. Senior officials remained at their posts, tracking media reports, reviewing legal scenarios, and preparing for the inevitable courtroom developments. Every decision carried weight, and every public-facing action was scrutinized. In the corridors of power, whispers of constitutional contingency plans circulated. The palace, long a symbol of tradition, was now navigating uncharted territory where privacy, public perception, and legality converged in ways previously unimaginable. Even as the world slept, the gears of history were turning. What began as a single court filing had become a catalyst for a narrative that could redefine royal succession, reshape international perception, and challenge the very core of the House of Windsor. By morning, the global audience would awaken to a new reality. The monarchy, revered and scrutinized in equal measure, was facing a challenge that would test its resilience, strategy, and capacity for measured response like never before. The courtroom in Geneva was silent, but charged with anticipation. DL's legal team had arrived early, meticulously reviewing documents, evidence logs, and witness statements before the proceedings began. The room itself, modern and austere, stood in stark contrast to the centuries-old halls of Windsor Castle, yet the weight of history hung heavily in the air. Reporters were strategically positioned behind barriers, their lenses aimed at the doors through which the Sussexes might appear. Security was tight, with international law enforcement monitoring access points, ensuring that the delicate proceedings remained undisturbed by media intrusion or public protest. As the session commenced, DL took the stand, her demeanor calm, measured, and resolute. She recounted the timeline of events with precise detail, the initial agreements surrounding surrogacy, the subsequent correspondence with intermediaries, and the documented interactions with legal advisors from both the UK and the US. Each sentence was deliberate, crafted to withstand cross-examination, while simultaneously reinforcing the gravity of her claims. The courtroom hung on every word, aware that the ramifications could extend far beyond personal disputes, touching on constitutional precedents, succession rights, and the intricate web of international surrogacy law. The presiding judge, a seasoned Swiss magistrate known for meticulous attention to procedural integrity, outlined the parameters of the case. Evidence admissibility, chain of custody verification, and the specific requirements for DNA testing were carefully enumerated. DL's legal team presented documentation confirming the authenticity of medical records, contracts, and correspondence. The meticulousness was intentional. Any oversight could provide the Sussexes, legal representatives, with a foothold for delay, challenge, or dismissal. Observers noted that this case, while deeply personal, was unfolding under unprecedented scrutiny, with implications that could resonate for generations. Meanwhile, back in London, the palace had convened a crisis response task force. Every detail from Geneva was monitored in real time, transmitted through secure channels to ensure that legal advisors and communications strategists could react instantly to developments. Princess Anne chaired the session, her focus unwavering, while senior aides and communications directors analyzed every nuance of reporting. Messaging was crafted with surgical precision. Public statements would reaffirm the monarchy's neutrality, yet signal that the institution was prepared to act decisively if legal validation confirmed DL's claims. Advisors recognized the dual challenge of controlling perception while respecting judicial processes in multiple countries. Social media continued to act as both amplifier and battlefield. Short video clips of DL's testimony circulated within minutes, often edited to highlight the most sensational statements. Hashtags proliferated, and opinion threads splintered into fiercely polarized camps. Analysts warned palace officials that viral narratives could harden public opinion before legal determinations were rendered. Digital intelligence teams worked around the clock, monitoring sentiment, identifying emerging narratives, and coordinating subtle messaging to maintain equilibrium in public perception. Even a minor misstatement could trigger global backlash, influencing media framing and potentially impacting diplomatic relations. In Montecito, the Sussexes faced mounting pressure. Their legal team reviewed the unfolding testimony minute by minute, drafting potential statements, rebuttals, and clarifications. Sources indicate tension and heated discussions regarding media strategy, public image, and potential settlement negotiations. Every option carried significant risk. An aggressive rebuttal could exacerbate public criticism, while a muted response might be interpreted as tacit acknowledgement. Private advisors emphasized the importance of cohesion, discretion, and timing, recognizing that each action could reverberate across both the UK and US media landscapes. By midweek, the case had attracted attention from global legal scholars. Commentaries analyzed the intersection of surrogacy law, international contracts, and constitutional considerations, debating whether the outcome could influence royal succession rules or alter precedents in family law. Some experts noted that the case might set a landmark standard for transparency and accountability in high-profile family arrangements, particularly when linked to prominent public figures. Meanwhile, the palace's legal team prepared contingency plans for every conceivable scenario, ranging from confirmation of DL's claims to partial validation or procedural dismissal. On the third day of testimony, DL's team introduced a series of DNA samples, meticulously documented and verified through independent laboratories. The presentation was deliberate, an unbroken chain of custody, clear labeling, and expert affidavits. The judge acknowledged the thoroughness, signaling that any challenge would require substantial evidence to contest. In the gallery, media representatives noted the palpable tension, with whispers and hushed commentary filling the otherwise silent room. Every detail, from the smallest procedural note to the demeanor of the parties involved, was analyzed and speculated upon in real time. Back in London, Buckingham Palace prepared a dual approach. Internally, the monarchy focused on maintaining operational continuity and public confidence, while externally, advisors crafted carefully calibrated messaging emphasizing impartiality and historical precedent. International correspondents were briefed under embargo, ensuring that reporting would align with legal realities rather than speculative narratives. The goal was clear: maintain the dignity of the institution, uphold legal neutrality, and mitigate any potential reputational damage that could arise from incomplete or sensationalized reporting. By the evening of the fourth day, it was evident that this case had moved beyond a private dispute. It had become a global spectacle, intertwining law, media, and monarchy in a way rarely witnessed in modern history. Every move was scrutinized, every statement dissected, and every implication analyzed. As night fell over Geneva, the palace and Sussex advisors alike remained vigilant, aware that the next phase could redefine public understanding, challenge legal norms, and leave an indelible mark on the House of Windsor for decades to come. The final day in Geneva brought a charged intensity unlike anything before. DL presented her closing statements with precision, articulating each timeline detail, legal reference, and corroborating testimony. The Sussex legal team responded carefully, attempting to cast doubt on minor discrepancies, but the meticulous documentation and DNA verification proved overwhelmingly compelling. The judge, eyes unwavering, noted the thoroughness of evidence, acknowledging the unprecedented nature of a case intertwining international law, surrogacy, and royal scrutiny. Outside the courthouse, media coverage reached a fever pitch. Global outlets broadcast live, dissecting every word and gesture. Social platforms erupted with analysis, speculation, and polarized debate. Experts in law and monarchy weighed in, highlighting potential implications for succession, privacy, and international surrogacy standards. In London, the palace convened quietly, balancing public messaging with internal deliberations, emphasizing neutrality while preparing for potential fallout. As the session adjourned, whispers suggested a settlement was likely inevitable. The Sussexes faced a choice: prolong the conflict with costly litigation and mounting public scrutiny, or negotiate discreetly to protect their image and legacy. Observers noted that even with careful media management, the court proceedings had already left an indelible mark on public perception. When the verdict was finally read, it confirmed DL's claims, at least partially, validating the authenticity of the records and establishing legal recognition. Repercussions were immediate. Advisors across continents adjusted strategy, media narratives shifted, and social platforms buzzed with reaction. For the monarchy, it was a moment to reaffirm protocol and precedents. For the Sussexes, a reckoning that would shape personal and public futures alike. The case closed, but its shadow lingered, a complex interplay of law, reputation, and historical legacy. Every participant, from legal teams to palace officials, understood that history would remember this as a defining chapter, where meticulous evidence, global attention, and royal intrigue collided in an unprecedented spectacle.